Right, everyone. I'm on the wrong screen, so I'm off to a good start. Here we are. There I am. Good morning, everyone. From St. Louis to the other side of St. Louis to somewhere in North Carolina. I'm here
Good
with
job, Jay.
Jen Lewis, my co host, and my good friend and smart person, Garon Cooper. Garon, say hello.
Hey, what's up? Good to be on the show.
Yes, thanks for coming on. I think you were on YouTube with us early pandemic EP,
Okay, yeah.
where we were still working out some of the kinks, and we're happy to have you here today because I think we are. I'm going to jinx myself. We are somewhat kink free uh, so far,
Why
but
would you say that,
I don't
Jason?
know. I don't know.
Seriously.
If I sound a little groggy this morning, I went over to a friend's house last night to watch a Beastie Boys movie, and in true form, I acted like a Beastie Boy. So I am feeling a little under the weather this morning, but I'm still here. I'm a trooper. I'll figure this out this morning. So let me get a little more coffee in me. And did you hear that New York accent come out a little bit there? Anyway, a little bit of coffee talk here this morning on Group's Group. It is Friday, 10 a.m. In St. Louis, and it is a beautiful day here. Looking forward to a great Labor Day weekend. Hopefully, you guys have some plans. Garon is here to talk to us today about video, marketing video, and how he uses them in his senior sessions. Garon is a photographer based in the St. Louis, in St. Louis, and has been doing mainly high school seniors for the last few years. That's been his mainstay. Absolutely crushes it with his unique composites and different ways that he's incorporated video into what he does. He definitely is a master of his craft when it comes to Photoshop and all things that I'm not capable of doing.
It's a long list, Jason.
It's a
Very long
long
list.
list. It's getting longer. It's getting longer. So I'm going to start you guys off with a video, and then we're going to get Garon talking at some point. But for those of you who are tuned in, thanks for listening. For those of you who are tuning in on a replay, thank you for replaying the listen. And all right, so here we go. I'm going to play a video of one of his senior sessions, and we'll kind of take it from there. So, all right, I'm going to transition to this screen here and then put this link in full screen, and we should be good. All right, here we go.
What I do is simple. I create incredible images and an unforgettable experience for people who want more than your typical portrait session.
That's awesome. All right, so Garon uses these videos, and in high school seniors, it's all about creating a great experience, right? So being able to show a video that, kind of outlines what an experience with Garon would be, you can't ask for something better than that to kind of describe, especially in an online world where you're dealing with an audience that is, a younger audience to kind of get an idea. So, Garon, lead us through your thought process in these marketing videos.
Yeah. So the one we just watched actually was interesting because we'd been doing video for senior. We'd been playing with the idea of video for senior photo sessions for about a year, and just trying to figure out, is this something that's doable? Can we create something interesting, something high quality? Something that seniors are going to want, that's going to look good, it's going to reflect well on our brand, because we've been doing video for a long time. So obviously, if we're going to dive in and do anything like this for seniors, we have to make sure that it's something that looks consistent with the brand. And so that video was actually, it was a marketing promo / test, because right around then, some of the technology had changed. The Ronins were coming out. Canon was doing autofocus in their DSLRs. Like, all this stuff was kind of changing. And so we started to realize, like, this is something that has gotten a lot more practical for the window that you have on a senior session, to be able to capture this content. So obviously we do a lot of that now for their session videos for them, but then we're able to also take that video content and create marketing and promotional stuff. So on that shoot, that was a test of the equipment and everything, and kind of what the limits and capabilities of the technology and of the time. We restricted the amount of time we had to capture the content, to see, can we create something out of this? So, using video to not only film their session, but also film behind the scenes stuff and get parents' reactions and get me, shooting and stuff like that. We're able to create different subsets of content to give the senior something that they want, put it in their app, and they get to take that home with them, but also create stuff that we can use then to promote and show other seniors, hey, here's what things look like behind the scenes when you book a session. This is what your experience is going to look like. Now, obviously, the one you showed, that was more stylized. That wasn't a true senior shoot. That was something that we set up to do a quick little snapshot kind of video. But again, as that proof of concept, it worked. And then we've refined that over time to expand on it to stuff that we can use in more ways.
Right. And so are you finding, these products, like the one we just showed, is this something that you're now using to sell to your clients and, as an additional add-on as well as everything else?
Yeah. So like the actual senior video, or the behind the scenes video?
The senior video, which I guess you're going to show us one of those, a product. So this is your promo video that you're showing, that you're putting out there to the world for seniors and parents to see as your proof of concept and what you're doing in the shoot.
Right. Yeah. So this one, you'll see, like, that video is all over the place. I'm still using it today. It's the landing page on my website. It's pinned to the top of my Facebook page. Basically, I got to create a new one now. I think that one's probably a couple of years old. It's time for something different. Right. But it's super effective. And one of the big things is that, when I'm competing in the market, every other photographer, we have our photos up on the webpage. So when somebody's, researching senior photographers, I know everybody else is going to have their best senior photo on the front page or a slideshow. And when you hit my page, holy cow, you see this video and this is different. And I want to show them something they haven't seen to make them stick around and want to know more about what it is I'm showing them and what they can get.
And I just want to make the point to Jen in this video that you're using a reflector very effectively, and just wanted to point out. So when I was shooting with Jenica, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? She was giving me a very hard time about using a reflector. She just thought it was silly.
All I'm saying is that OCF is more consistent than a reflector if you have an assistant who doesn't hold it in the right spot, or the wind is blowing a lot and it's all over the place. I like consistency.
Oh boy. And mind you, I'm asking Jen to hold the reflector for me. So you think that I would have a decent person holding the reflector, but still I wasn't getting any consistency.
Oh my gosh. We're going to talk after this, Jason.
Oh, it just wouldn't be a groups group unless I'm giving Jen a hard time. Jen, do you have anything that you want to add to, as far as like, talking about these marketing the promo videos before we move on to the other kinds of videos?
Yeah, definitely. What kind of things do you want to make sure that you include in a marketing video? Obviously, the video itself is something that sets you apart, but what do you want to make sure that you're telling your clients in that video or showing them?
I mean, it's super important to show like anything, part of the experience. And if not, so I guess there's two different versions. And I think the other one that I sent you, Jason, is kind of the other version of a promotional video. The one I showed is a very highly stylized, behind the scenes. I say that like we didn't stage the behind the scenes stuff. It was a real shoot. It was a real marketing shoot that we were getting that content on. So part of that is showing, here's a fun experience. Here's something different. When I'm showing this video to people, and I use this in studio too during my my consultations and stuff. They're like, "Whoa, where were you?" And they're asking all these questions about this. I'm like, we could legit do this. You want to go to this location? Want to throw on a red dress and be all epic? Like, we can go do that. That is an option. And so that's showing here's a possibility, and here's what you see all the finished photos, but you have no idea how they're taken. How do we get to that part? Do I have to be a professional model? Do I have to? What are the, and you see like, oh, well, there's mom holding the reflector and dad's helping throw the thing, right? And like you realize that the behind the scenes is messy, and that's okay. And that you don't have, that this isn't some perfect polished process that, the finished product is, and we'll do some cool stuff and I make you look awesome. The other option is to say, I use the senior videos a lot to sell the senior videos. And so I'll put together marketing pieces that show snippets of all of this and show, all different types of seniors doing all different types of stuff, to show like, I got one video of a kid, he's doing parkour. He's doing backflips off of like walls. And I mean, it's insane. And I want people to realize you don't have to do that, because I've got all kinds of, videos too, where seniors walking around and exploring the city, and that's fine too. And so showing both what it's like behind the scenes to get this stuff, and also what the finished product looks like across a broad spectrum of different seniors, is kind of the two mindsets that I go with whenever I'm creating one or the other. You're muted.
You're muted, Jen.
That's the quietest she's ever been.
I forgot. Hey, next time I come to St. Louis, I want to video Jason doing parkour. We're going to take him downtown and
let's do it.
Let him
Nobody
let him
wants
show
to
us
see
some
that.
stuff.
Nobody wants to see that. Jen, before you say anything, I want to make the point that I think it's really, interesting to make the point of that by showing the behind the scenes. It shows that, how approachable it is, that it's for any kid, right?
Right.
It's not just for, out on some crazy location someplace or some high production shoot. It's mom helping with the reflector, and it's a very attainable type thing. And you show that in the video, which I think is just an important thing before Jen says anything.
What is that supposed to mean?
No.
Whatever. No, I totally agree. And I love that you show the behind the scenes. And I've seen some other videos that you've done with, I think it was Kersey, that where you were showing actually like the hair and makeup part of it, and just like eating, grabbing breakfast and, the whole thing. And I think showing that experience and how much fun they have through the whole process, even, the hair and makeup and getting pampered and all of that stuff. And, you directing your clients and making it look easy. Like Jason said, for any kid, it doesn't have to be, a kid who's, a professional model or, it's amazing. I love that you show that. And I've actually been learning video from Garon for, probably 3 years now, and I still suck at it. I'm getting there. I've learned a lot, but it's a lot harder than, it's not photography. Like we always talk to Garon about how, you went from video to photo, and I always said that was a much easier transition than me going from photo to video. And so like watching you work, and you make it look so easy, but it's so much to learn. And I mean, we've shot together, I don't know how many times, and it's still, it's difficult for me, but it's getting easier. I'm getting a little better with the Ronin and with the shots and stuff like that. But I would love to hear you talk a little bit about the difference between a photographer and a filmmaker filming. Because I think that's one of the things that's really stuck with me as I've been learning stuff from you is the difference. And now when I watch a photographer creating films, I'm like, oh yeah, they're totally shooting it like a photographer. So, which you tell me all the time when I do certain shots, you're like, yeah, you're shooting it like a photographer. Stop. So can you talk about the differences?
Yeah. So, doing both, I put my brain in two completely different mindsets when I'm shooting photo or shooting video. And that helps me kind of see, I guess, that difference. As photographers, we want to tell as much of that story as we can in one shot. We've got one frame to give them all the information that we want to give them. And in video, you need to build up suspense. When you're watching a murder mystery, they don't tell you in the first 10 seconds, all right, here's the guy who got murdered. Here's the murderer done. Right. Like that's how you would try to do it in a photo. You would show the guy with the knife in the background and the police and the bot. Like if you're telling that story, you do it all in one frame. In video, you drag it out. You want to build that suspense. And so to do that, we have to get interesting with angles and stuff. And so, when you watch my senior videos, if I'm filming a senior, say, if I'm photographing a senior walking down the street, I got my light up, she's walking. Okay, I kind of, instruct on walking it, and boom, there's the shot, looks good. All right, we got it. For video, I want to get, maybe a close up of her shoes walking down the street and the wind in her hair, and a super wide shot to show the city where we're at, and a close up of her and her expression kind of looking around. Maybe she's playing with jewelry. Like I'm going to shoot 3, 4, 5, 6 different shots of her doing one thing to be able to create a more visually interesting and compelling story versus that snapshot with just the one photo. And so you go from being like, you literally, you invert your brain almost, like from going, all right, I need to give as much context as I can in one shot to I need to give as little context as possible in each shot so that I can string together the storyline to say, all right, maybe I go from a super close up of the shoes. I go, okay, well, whose shoes are those? Then we back out. There's a senior. Oh, those are probably her shoes. Where are we? Back out. Okay, now we see the city. And it's these, in filmmaking, we've always got, wide, tight, super tight shots that we cut in and out of to be able to tell that story so that we've got, a fun 30-second, 1-minute video or, whatever to watch. And then the other thing is with angles too. Portrait photographers, especially, what we like to do is we like to get that portrait shot, that portrait angle. There's the portrait, right? Maybe we'll back out, we'll get a wide, but we're kind of in this kind of range. With video, I want to mix that up a lot. I'm going to be shooting down, and I'm going to be shooting up. If we're in the city again, shooting up, seeing the buildings behind all of this. Like getting down on the ground and shooting a shoe shot from eye level, and suddenly you have to really mix up your angles and your perspectives and all of this stuff to get a compelling mix of footage that then when you're editing, just like we're putting an album together, we might like to mix, wides and tights side by side in an album. And that's kind of the extent of that story. In video, it's almost the same way in that it doesn't look normal to go from middle shot to middle shot to middle shot to middle shot. Here's me here. Here's me here. Here's me here. Sure, I'm moving, but there's nothing compelling, about that frame if the basic composition doesn't change. And so that's something that you got to be super conscious about in shooting video, is to make sure you keep that changing. So when you're cutting between shots, it's interesting and compelling and it changes, and it doesn't just look like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it definitely. And also the movement too, like moving with the subject as opposed to just filming the subject moving and you're standing there like you've got it on a tripod. So that's those are the two things that I really had to, I remember you telling me, like, try different angles, get high, get low, do different things. Cause I was doing a lot of those middle shots when I first started with video. And so those things make a huge difference. And that's made a difference in my photography as well. And I know you pointed that out recently, like I'm getting low and getting high and doing different angles and stuff like that, even with photo, and getting some more epic shots and that kind of thing. And it's definitely paid off with photo as well. So that's been really cool to learn.
Well, like you said, you in photo, you're wanting to freeze the motion. You never want, you can simulate action, but then you freeze it. In video, you're doing the opposite. You want that movement. And, I always say you either want your subject to move or you want the frame to move, or both, as much as you can. There's nothing interesting about watching a lockdown portrait shot of somebody standing there posing for a photo. And right. I get it for like a behind the scenes shot, okay, that's fine. But to have lockdown shots of lockdown people back to back to back to back to back to back. There's nothing interesting about watching that.
Right. Yeah. I love learning it. I'm hoping to be half as good as you someday, but we'll see how that goes.
You've been getting good stuff. I like it.
You did good with my little DJI Osmo the other
day.
Yeah, that was good. I still need to share that. My filmmaking skills at work with the iPhone 11.
I tell you what, that I continually, I bought the DJI. I forget, it's not the Osmo, but it's the one that holds a smartphone.
Yeah, it's the Osmo. It's just the cell phone gimbal. Yeah.
And the things that you can do with that, and with the quality of like I have the iPhone 11, the quality of the video, I am absolutely blown away. And like Jen was like, teasing me because, we brought microphones and wireless. I was like, just make sure you're close enough to me. It'll be fine. And she's like, it's going to be terrible. And you know what? It's great. It's totally fine.
I walked over there with my 6D on my phone, and he's like, you don't need that.
You don't need that. It's just the iPhone. And, so I mean, obviously it would be better for that. But I think, Garon, what are your thoughts on, somebody who's just getting started to just start with a gimbal like that and piece stuff together? Do you feel like that's a good place to start, or you think you really need to go in this direction?
I think shoot video however you can shoot it. If it's an assistant with an iPhone, on the shoot, film it, because as like, first of all, everything loves video. Google loves video. It's going to help your website. Facebook, Instagram, everybody loves video. TikTok's hot. Like, video is what you've got to be creating right now. So it doesn't have to look like, what we do. And I've been shooting this kind of video since 2010. I've got a ton of experience, and I'm a filmmaker background. Like, that's where I come from. So my stuff's going to look different. But even if I knew nothing about video, I just, with an iPhone out, maybe do an Osmo, like you can, there's a spectrum and a scale of video that you can, and there are no wrong answers. If you're shooting behind the scenes stuff, clients, they don't care, oh, this doesn't look like that or look like that. They want to see what the experience is like. If you give them video of any kind, that's more than they were expecting in the first place. And it's still something they've never seen before, because senior videos aren't a thing that's really being done that much yet. So give them anything, shoot anything, use it for your marketing, use it for them. It's going to be better than not doing it at all, even if it's just on an iPhone.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And just as a plug, Garon is available to teach this kind of stuff to you guys on the group via one-on-one session. Garon can definitely help you, dial in what you want to do. He'll help you by looking at some of your images and, kind of help you develop a plan for making your first video. And I believe you're also going to be teaching at Sync next year, right? Am I right? Mm-hmm. So yep. Sync would be a great place to see him to learn this kind of stuff. I have found that the best way to learn video is to just do it and make a lot of mistakes. I kind of like photography, but the best thing to do is to get a bunch of video in and start learning how to edit. Your editing skills are, I'm so jealous, of what you do, but you can't get better at something like this kind of stuff unless you're doing it. I know when I open up Final Cut or, whatever video program I'm editing in, and I haven't looked at it in a while, I am so lost like anything else. Mm-hmm. So just the practice of getting it done, and we do have the advantage of, being in this YouTube world. Like, generally when I'm like, oh, how do I do that again? What's the shortcut for that? All I have to do is look it up and find it, and It's there in 2 seconds. So tell me about like a checklist. Actually, let's just for the gearheads, because I know that's so important. What are we taking out on a shoot?
So I recommend a gimbal, mainly to be light and fast, and also to be able to have a range of shots that you can get. I use the Ronin S. That's, in my opinion, is one of the better ones on the market. I want a camera with slow-mo, so at least 60 frames a second, and autofocus. And so for the Ronin, I'm using the Canon 6D Mark II. Most of the mirrorless ones will be fine too. Like anything like that'll work. I like the 6D because it's got the flip out screen. So when I'm getting super low angles, I can just look down and see it, or super high angles, and I can look up, flip the screen around. Or I've done shots, running shots where I flip the camera over my shoulder, flip the screen around, so I'm looking at it right here, and I'm running with it, filming behind me and seeing what I'm getting. So that versatility is super helpful. And I mean, that's really pretty much it when I'm doing, senior shoots, because it's, it's something, it's a camera that I can set up and set aside. So I can do photo, and then pick this up, film, set it down, shoot photo. Or, I've usually got, if I can, I've got Cammy with me who's can kind of run and film at the same time, but then sometimes we'll swap around. I'll be like, ooh, I got the shot idea, grab it and go. And I don't have to have all of this gear. We're not having a monopod. We got to set down on the ground somewhere, and it really streamlines the process.
Yeah, and when I was shooting with Jen a couple weeks ago, I noticed that she had that same setup with the Ronin, and it was set up with this different camera. And
camera Garon uses.
Yeah,
the 60.
The 60.
Where did you learn about that from?
And being able to have I think if you're going to go that route, you really do need to have a camera dedicated to just shooting video, because you can't just, put it on and off, especially on a Ronin or something like that. So you really do need to dedicate it to something like that. But once it's set up, and you're those gimbals can be a little tricky to stabilize. And I'm just, for my own selfishness, do you have any tricks in setting up that gimbal the first time? When you're setting up, because it seems a little tricky.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a process to balancing it. That's a YouTube question. There's all kinds of videos out there of people balancing it, and once you get good at it, I mean, I can take a totally messed up gimbal, like a totally messed up Ronin, and have it completely balanced in about 30 seconds. I think. Wow. Not the case when you first get started, and the Ronin does not do all the work for you. I come again from like the glide cam days where you had to be just buttery smooth. I mean, they talked about training with it. Pretend like you're walking with a glass completely full of water where it's like just over the top, and try running with that. Like that's almost how you got to think of running with a gimbal. So if you want to really refine your Ronin technique, they're different, but there's a lot of similarities in how you run and you walk and how you hold it. Practice with a glide cam, first, or something like that to smooth out those shots thing. Because even a perfectly balanced gimbal is going to have, you got to be able to do a little bit to stabilize it still with your movement.
Don't wear flip-flops, wear sneakers, right, Garon?
Flip-flops, yeah.
I live in flip-flops, and I've learned I can't film if I'm not wearing real shoes. So, because your steps have to be so smooth. It's like you can't have any like bumping or anything as you're walking. You have to be super smooth. So, yeah, I'm usually, if I have flip-flops on, I kick them off and do it barefoot, so.
Yeah, the toughest thing to do is to track motion. Like if you got somebody walking or running and you want to walk or run with them, that's just something you've got to practice. But having a well-balanced Ronin in the first place is going to help a lot. And then getting that movement down is kind of second to that. But practice. The nice thing is you can practice. Like when I first got my Ronin, or when I first got like a glide cam and stuff, I practiced with the dog. I'd take him out in the yard and I'd be like, I'd throw like a ball or whatever and be like, and I would try to track him and get a sense of like, okay, how much chaotic movement can I track? How on a subject that I can't predict can I be? Because then when I have a subject I have control over, then it's like, oh, well, this is easy by comparison. So that's also where like the autofocus comes in handy and stuff too. And the cameras we've got now. Prior to that, it was about keeping the exact same distance from them at all times. If you use anything tighter than like a 14 or something super wide.
Right. Yeah. You still have to use a super wide and kind of rack the focus so that you didn't really need it. Stop down a lot. So favorite lens, 60 Ronin, what lens?
So for the longest time I used I wanted lightweight, so I used a combination of Canon's 85-1.8 and 28-2.8, which are kind of their middle ground lenses, but they were small and super lightweight. And the nice thing was being able to get tights and wides with that. I did just start using the 24-70 on it instead. It's a beefier lens. It starts to really push the limits.
So heavy.
It pushes the limits of what the Ronin can do, and it's a lot. If you don't have like the muscle built up to like carry this thing for a long time, that's a pretty heavy setup. And when you adjust the zoom, it throws off the balance a little bit, which forces you to have to take even more care. It's a trickier lens, but it does speed things up dramatically, being able to go from pretty wide shots to pretty tight shots just on the fly without having to stop, turn it off, flip the lenses out, put the new one on,
and balance it all over again. Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So
that's good advice.
Hey, Garon, we have a question from Daniel. He said, for your senior films, you use more than one camera for video or a camera and drone. Is it easy to merge the two videos?
Yeah, so I got one camera that I'm shooting photos on, and I got one camera that I'm shooting all the video on. I do have a drone. It only goes up on senior shoots whenever I've got enough time to get it out, set it up, fly it, get a shot. And I got to have a compelling location to use it with too. So it doesn't come out very often on senior shoots. But merging the two is easy. Yeah. I mean, the video from the drone, you just cut it into your other footage, wherever you want those shots at. Drones are good for maybe one or two shots anyway in the whole video. Obviously you're backed out. Those are more environmental, establishing shot kind of things. So, there's limited value in that for such a short portrait related video. Obviously doing things like weddings and things, it's a whole different kind of story, but yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, clients love drones. If you get the drone out, you are the coolest person they've ever met in their life. So sometimes it's good just for the spectacle, and then nobody else is flying drones. So like if you're doing video and you're flying a drone, like on their shoots, you're going to get stuff no one else is going to get, and you're going to be cooler than everyone else they know. So I do recommend it if you want to mix it in.
Yeah, good tips. And if you look at the video, Daniel, from the beginning, if you weren't on here, you can go back and look at the replay. But the Garon's marketing video has drone footage right in the beginning. So yeah, you'll see that in there. But that was, like you said, an epic location. That was a really cool shot going over the trees in the beginning of that. So
yeah,
not everywhere is epic enough. What's that?
I said, yeah, the client wasn't even in that shot.
No, but it showed the location. It was a good environment set, showing the environment you were going to be in and all that. So, yeah, setting the story. So that was cool. I like it.
That looked like a really neat location. Which, by the way, I want to find out what location that is. But I'm sure that's a super secret location. So we can talk about it after the show. I think I know where it is, but.
You probably do. I have a lot of clients, like when I show them that, they're like they think it's one of my traveler sessions. They think that's we went out of state for that. I'm like, no, that's Illinois. They're like, okay, where? Yeah, it's a cool spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely seems a little more nature than I'm used to, but it looks like a pretty spot.
They don't have spots like that in Manhattan.
It looks buggy. Yeah, it looks very buggy. But all right, so let's show another one. You've got another video for us to show. This one is your cinematic senior films promo. Let's show this one, and then we can talk about it afterwards. So let's see. All right, I need to switch my screens to this one, and then hit play. Wow, this one's really short, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Should be good there. All right, here we go. That was too quick. Let's watch it again. One more time. I want to watch it again. Hang on. We're going back. That's amazing. So one point I want to make in watching that video is there's some epic locations there. There's some really amazing drone shots and lots of different stuff. But I could only imagine if you're a high school senior photographer, if you just grabbed a little bit of video of every single shoot that you did at the end of the season, you would have this video. Maybe not as epic as that, but even if you were to just take 1-2 seconds of video of like the coolest location, even if they were just, because and what I thought is interesting is a lot of them are just wides, but then every now and again you're like, pow, you hit them with like a really sharp close-up. So if you did, like you said in the beginning of this, where do super wide, wide, and close, right? If you did 3 shots at every senior session you did, even if you did them on an iPhone, you could create that video by the end of the year, right?
Right.
So I just want to make that point because you just planted a bug in my head. Like for the next time I'm out shooting, this is an easy way to do that. 10 sessions in, you have your 20-second video, right? 1 second for 10 seconds, 2 seconds, right? What's that math, Jen? 2 seconds for 10
for 10 sessions.
Shoots, right? You'd have your 20-second video, right?
Yes. I'm here to help with that, Jay.
Thanks. That's why you're the co-host.
Yes. Yeah, it was a hard job. So yeah, and I love that you do that too. And I need to start taking my Ronin to more of my regular senior shoots. But one thing, since we're sort of switching gears to talking about the senior films, one thing that I've noticed, and I'll let you talk about this more, Garon, is like if I'm gonna do film, even if it's like if my goal is a 30-second film, I have to add like an hour to the session to get a 30-second film at the end of it. So you want to talk a little bit more about what it really takes to create, and that's me shooting by myself. I know you have Cammy at a lot of your shoots, but you also do some where you do the photo and video. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Right. Yeah. So I would not try to do whatever your standard senior session length is. I would not try to create this product within that same window. So anytime I have a senior who upgrades and books video, I add an hour to their session. That's a little more than I need, but it's a buffer. It's safety. And even when I've got Cammy with me, where she is shooting video while I'm shooting, but I use off-camera flash too, and I don't want those flashes in my video. So I'll give her, okay, got the location, got her pose, boom, got the photos. All right, Cammy, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, kind of work through the poses. And if I don't have Cammy with me, I'm picking up the camera and I'm doing it myself, right? So I put the photo camera down, I pick the video camera up. And when I do that, obviously I'm taking time out of the day that I could be taking photos to dedicate that to video. So I want to make sure that I pad that extra time in. And I don't feel too rushed. The shoots are always run and gun. It's, you're moving fast, trying to get a lot done. Having that little bit of an extra window where you can make sure to slow down and get that variety of shots that you need. And especially if you're newer to it and you're trying to think through, okay, wide, tight, close. Okay. What can I do here? What can I get? And even as much as I do it, I still I try to slow down and I think, what can I do here that I haven't done before? Or I've got my set shots locked in that I know, okay, I'm always going to get these. What am I not thinking about that would be cool here, that would be different, that I could add to this? So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of it is just, taking into account how much time it takes to even get a short video. Like it takes, like you were saying, each shot, take 10 minutes and, grab these shots real quick. But when you actually cut that down to what you're using, you'll take that 10 minutes and get a second or two out of it. Yeah. And then, so you're doing that so many times. And it's, you use so little And that was the other thing that I remember when I very first started doing video, and I was sending you edits and you're like, these clips are way too long. It would be like one clip that was like 7 seconds and you're like, this is ridiculous, cut that down, you know, like, and so now all my clips are like 1 or 2 seconds. Like it's got to be fast paced, and that keeps it interesting. So it takes so much time to get enough clips to, you know, to be able to do that. So,
well, that's breaking out of that photographer mentality where, again, you're used to snap. That's your frame for life, you know, like that's the shot. In video, we want to keep it, you know, it's like they're flipping through the album like this, you know, and it's just keeping it interesting. And yeah, there's so much waste. You know, you think about when you're shooting photos, you've got so many where the light didn't fire, or maybe the camera missed focus, or a car drove by in the background. You've always got scrap photos for whatever reason. You have got a ton of scrap footage for different reasons. You know, you're going to set up, maybe you're doing that 180 sweeping shot. Well, you got to set it up to start that movement ahead of time. And then you're going to pull out that 1 or 2 seconds where it's perfect. And then you've got a tail on that, you know, shot where because you want it to be perfect right through it. So you're going to throw away half the shot for that like 1 or 2 seconds that you really want. And you're going to do that for every single video, or you're going to have, again, the camera might miss focus, or it might, you know, maybe she didn't move just right, or maybe you've got a better idea, or whatever it is. Tons of scrap footage. So that's why, I mean, you know, I should go look. I'm not sure exactly how much footage, like raw footage, I end up with at the end of a senior shoot. But I'll tell you, it's way, way more than 60 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was really hard for me to learn, because like you were talking about earlier, you're wanting to show all these different short clips to tell a story, and I wanted to just pan and show like one longer clip to tell the story. And that's such a photographer thing to do. And I noticed that when I watch other photographers doing film, but like I pick it out now, I can see the difference. And which is why I love that you're teaching video, because with you being a photographer, you know how we think, and you know, and you're able to put it in terms that we understand and that kind of thing. So Jason mentioned Sync earlier. I also want to, of course, plug Fusion, our workshop in Vegas that is happening February 19th to the 21st in Vegas. And it will be me, Garon Cooper, and Dan Rowe. And so I'll be teaching business. Garon will be teaching video, and Dan Rowe will be teaching photo. And if you don't know Dan, he is incredible. He's got a very distinct style that is just, he's super talented. He knows his lighting. I think we all have a pretty decent grasp on lighting. So we'll all be shooting and with some of my models that Garon and I took to Vegas a couple of years ago, and they were fantastic. And so we're really excited about that. So fusiontheworkshop.com is the website for that. And then, of course, like we mentioned earlier, Garon will be at Sync, which I'm super excited about. That's one of my favorite shows. So Garon will be at Sync teaching in March. I think it's 5th to the 8th. So syncrocks.com, I think, is the website. I know it's Syncrocks. I should have. We'll put them in the comments, though. So
yeah,
you guys
put them
can
in the comments.
Links for those. So
your friend down there wants to say hello.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he wants to go outside.
Oh, poor guy. We're wrapping up soon. Yeah. What's his name?
Or he can take himself out.
Gunner.
Gunner. Oh, he can't hear you because you got headphones on.
Yeah. He's not wearing his.
Poor Gunner.
Yeah, you gotta wait, bud. You gotta wait. You can lay down.
Go lay down, Gunner. Go lay down.
He's like, what? No.
He's like, well, I don't understand. So the Vegas workshop, I think, I just want to make the point that, like, learning stuff like this, if you can take the time to, go to Vegas and learn from these guys, there is no other better way to learn the techniques of how listen, you can learn everything that you see in all of these videos by going out and doing and figuring it out and trial and error, right? But you will learn these techniques so much faster by just going and watching their trial and error to get to that point, right? So instead of like learning how to balance the gimbal, which, Garon will take some time showing you how to do that, using that, super heavy lens and how he does it. And, you could fumble around with a lot of different lenses, but then going and seeing just his process of 1, 2, 3, like do it this way. Those are things that you can't learn via, well, you can learn all of those things, just not as quickly. So, and listen, I think Vegas is going to be a great place to be in February. There's so little in person right now. If you can get to Vegas, it should be pretty cheap to get there too. So I can't think of 3 instructors that you'll learn just a ton from. So yeah, we'll put a link to the workshop there, and also sync as well. Or if you just don't want to leave the house, you can also do a one-on-one with him as well. So yeah, we'll put links to all of that in there. Jen, are there any other questions?
No, I think I'm going to be sending you some video though that I did with Jason when I was in St. Louis a couple weeks ago, so you can tell me how terrible it is and what to fix. I was filming his a few seniors that we were shooting with and getting some clips and stuff like that. But I'm a little rusty. It's been a while since I picked up the Ronin, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about producing video for him and getting that out there for he and I both. So, but I'll send it to you to critique before before I make it public. So we'll see how it
We should just do another YouTube show and premiere it.
Oh yeah, we could do that. Yeah, well, let me get it done first.
Well, I was really hoping you were going to surprise me today, but just another disappointment to add to my Friday before the holiday weekend.
You can just talk to Matthew about that. He started the Gens United. What was it? That club he started that when I was disappointing all of you guys a long time ago.
The Jen Lewis Disappointment Club. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So we'll talk to Matthew.
We need to invite everybody. We'll put a link to that club as well.
Oh gosh, thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. I will be editing video tomorrow. I will. That's how I'm going to spend my day. So
seems like a good use of your time.
Does it? Yeah, on a Saturday.
Yeah,
I appreciate
Labor Day weekend.
But
I won't have any cell service. Well, I'll be on a lake tomorrow.
I hate you. Well, maybe I'll just wait until Tuesday. It is a holiday week.
No, I don't want to stop you. I'm sure. Okay. I'm sure if you have any questions, you'll be able to reach me. Sorry, yes. Garon. This show's about you. So I apologize. I apologize. I think we're at a good point to wrap up, unless you guys have anything else that you want to talk about.
I was gonna say that that last video that we watched, like you mentioned, it was super short.
Yeah.
That's an example of what I do for like Instagram stories and like super short promotional stuff. I created a vertical version of it and that horizontal one to be good, quick, digestible marketing material for those 15-second windows that you find on social media. So
let's go there. Thank you for bringing that up. So using these for, I know that, stories, Instagram stories, video, you're right. The algorithms love the video, especially on Facebook and Instagram. Talk to me about, so you just said, editing the video, like, are you shooting in a different way? Obviously you're shooting everything horizontal, right? And then you're cropping it for vertical. In my experience so far, as long as stuff is somewhat centered, cropping it to a vertical format isn't that difficult. I would love for you to just give us a tutorial. We're not going to do it today, but the first time I had to edit in vertical format was really hard. But so is there any advice you can give on that?
On the editing side of it, like
just shooting concept wise, let's start there. Are you doing anything different so that that you're getting shots in vertical, or you're just figuring it out? Do you understand my question?
Basically, basically just figuring it out.
Okay.
I mean, it helps when you've got a single subject. You can pretty much always find them in a center frame where you can crop in. Close-ups become extra close, and wide shots become tighter, but in wide shots, you're basically just kind of scrapping the edges anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally, I mean, just throwing footage in and then each frame, creating a vertical timeline and then putting your footage in and just centering each clip up so that you've got what you want to focus on in the middle there. So yeah, it's an extra process. It kind of sucks once you've got your edit it's almost like, it almost feels like re-editing a little bit, because I created that video horizontal, but I knew I wanted to do a vertical one too. So then I basically copied that timeline and then did a vertical one, and then tweaked and retuned everything for the vertical also, because I knew it was going to be important for Instagram.
So that's for the stories. Do you ever edit them in square for Instagram as well, or you just go with the horizontal format now? So I know for a while people were doing horizontal. That. Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, since they let you put in horizontal content now, I don't worry about it.
Right.
Especially for the client's end product, they would rather have it, fit for their phones and their TVs and stuff anyway. I don't really do anything in square.
Okay.
Speaking of social media and that kind of thing, you were talking about that length of video being good for social media. Can you talk a little bit about the length? Because I've seen some that are way too long and people need to stop. Can you talk about the length of a video that you're going to use for marketing or your senior trailers, or even if you're creating a marketing video for a company or something like that? Can you talk about ideal time length for those type of videos?
Yeah, I mean, the shorter the better always. Nobody has attention spans for 3, 4, 5 minute videos. The only thing we're really editing that long are weddings and maybe like commercial testimonials or something like that. The quicker you can get your information across to somebody who's watching a video, the more effective you're going to be. Drop-off rates are huge after 3 or 4 seconds or whatever, right? So you want to give them as much, and they're willing to commit to a 15-second video where if they see, oh my God, this thing's 4 minutes long, they're not even going to give you 2 seconds. For seniors, I keep their videos at 60 seconds, partially because I could make longer ones, but to keep them fast-paced and interesting with the footage that we're getting, within that spare hour on a photo shoot, it would just start to drag on. If I did that, I would have to hold shots longer. It's also, again, within that attention span. So they're short enough that they're going to be fun to watch. Their friends and family are going to want to watch them. And it's also within that window that Instagram will let me share, not in Instagram TV. So I can post those straight to my my feed, my timeline. So 60 seconds is a good window for a good length for client content. And 15 to 30 is really just 15 for the most part for doing stories and video marketing stuff. The exception is I do run ads to promote videos, and I will post the full video there because I want, if they're interested, they're going to watch it, they're going to click through it, they're going to see, I can actually get one of these. I guess that's a different thing, but that's showing the finished product versus showing, that 15-second whiz bang mix of footage and everything to just be like, hey, look how cool everything is, come check it out. So different concepts on that.
Well, and I think what's neat about all of that is that not only are you, getting stuff that you can use for promo, you have a saleable product, and then you're pulling so much more out of it than just posting a few pictures. So there's this constant, once you start grabbing the footage in the way that you can put in, I find that, when you really need to come up with a formula for what you're doing and constantly tweaking that formula so that you can get all the things that you need without overwhelming your shoots. So like you said, you add an hour to your senior sessions when you have a client that's paying for it, but then making sure that you're getting everything that you need. And at the same time, everyone knows how much time we can lose editing videos. And so it's important to come up with that formula so that you're not, stuck with all of that stuff. So, but I got to tell you, Gunnar he's persistent. If not.
He is. Yeah. And he just came in right before this too. And he'll hold it for 12 hours if he has to, but if I'm in the house, it's like, hey.
Well, maybe someday you could share the gimbal footage of you shooting Gunnar as you're learning. It should be a whole promo video in and of itself. Yeah. I'd love to see that.
I would like to see that as well, for sure. Well, thank you, Garon. I appreciate you being on today and answering our questions and helping clarify video a little bit for us photographers. So I'm super excited to teach with you at Fusion and to see you at Sync. and all that good stuff. So, and I'm sure I will be back in St. Louis before either of those happen. I'm sure Jason has other jobs for me that will bring me back before long. So,
Not paying jobs, but I always have a job.
exactly. Exactly.
All right. Yeah. Garon, thank you again for being on Groups Group. Jen, thanks for being here as always. For those of you who are with us now or watching today, we hope that you have a great Labor Day weekend. Hopefully you're getting to go someplace fun. I feel like we're going to be able to get out there soon. A lot more, in a fun way, not like, am I going to die on this trip, type feeling. But anyway, have a healthy, safe Labor Day weekend. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week on Groups Group.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye, guys. All right, so here we go. This is the part where I have to turn everything off. Bye, everyone.
We'll see
See if I can do it. Bye. End. Perfect. We're out.
Yay.